Time management, aside from being a multi-billion-dollar industry, what exactly is it? And what if I told you that the very concept of time management is a lie? Well, we have the ability to manage our tasks, our activities, our decisions, our priorities, but we have no control whatsoever over time. And it's not just semantics. It's actually a fundamental shift in our mindset that empowers us to take control over the most important parts of our lives. And if this challenges you and your beliefs, then buckle up a bit, because today we're going to do a deep dive into it, and I'm going to share 5 key insights that can actually revolutionize the way that you look at your day and even your week or your life. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe now so you can join us on every episode. We truly appreciate it. And be sure to engage in the comments section of your favorite platform for your chance to be invited as a guest on one of our episodes. Now, I know the initial statement and the following facts and perspectives, they're going to create some backlash, particularly from anybody that's in the time management industry. And I'm okay with that, because facts are facts and they're still the truth. So let me put it simply, without, of course, getting into spirituality or quantum physics. Time itself, it's constant, right? It's a consistent, unchangeable force of nature. Tasks can be changed, can be adapted, but time is a consistent. By correctly identifying the conversation as task management or activity or priority management, it actually emphasizes the fact that we have the power to choose and to organize our tasks. That in and of itself, it can help us make the most of the time that we get to participate in life, right? This shift in terminology is accuracy. And because of that, it empowers us. It puts the emphasis on what we can control as opposed to what we cannot control, which is time itself. Listen, I know the topic today is time management versus task management. However, the importance of language and how it shapes our mindset and our approach to anything in life, it just can't be overstated. If we want our lives to change and to improve, we need to be mindful of the words that we use and how they affect our understanding of the world around us and how we experience it or the experiences we have within it, but also the understanding that other people get or how they perceive what we say. And that is specific to the language and the terminology that we use. Okay, so let's dive into insight number 1, which will be the importance of language. See, the disempowerment that we apply to ourselves and within our lives when we use inaccurate terms. Now, they may be well intended, they may be widely accepted, but there's an inaccuracy to the term time management. There's a profound impact in our mindset and in our behaviors based on what we tell ourselves and based on what we hear from other people. And the words we use, they can either empower us or they disempower us. And in the case of terms like time management, one of 2 things happens. Number 1, we take on some false sense that we actually have control over time, which is absolutely not true. Or, and by the way, we're talking subconscious level here. There's some aspect of the conscious level, but subconsciously, we either take on a false belief or it makes us feel helpless at some level because we know, be it subconsciously or consciously, that we don't have control over time, and therefore we feel kind of helpless because that time, it just continues moving forward regardless of our desires or our intentions or our plans. So what if we look at it from a perspective that's more factual? This is where task management, on the other hand, it actually puts us in a position of power because it emphasizes what we can control, which are the tasks. And by changing the way that we talk about time and tasks, we actually shift our mindset, and it gives us a feeling, it gives us a reality of being more in control. And most of us know the more in control we feel, the more peace and ease that it gives us, and the more productive we are. So let me do this. Let me give you two distinct examples that are helpful. First one, let's look at this one. Consider the difference between saying, I don't have time, versus that's not a priority. And I'm talking when we're speaking to ourselves internally, when we're looking at it. The former, the first one, I don't have time, it implies a lack of control. It focuses on something we don't have control over. Right? I don't have. It focuses on lack itself as opposed to abundance. While if we look at using the other terminology, it's not a priority for me. It reflects a conscious decision or a conscious choice, an intentional one, which, by the way, is true. The first statement is not accurate. We have the time. We have the same 24-hour period in a day. The time doesn't change. But the task or the activity or action, whatever it is not a priority. So we choose not to include it in that timeline. This gives us the power back. Is this making sense to you? If it is, share in the comments. If it isn't, share in the comments. Let us know. This is about creating a conversation. It's about engaging. But let me do this. Let me give you example number 2. If two people have a disagreement of some sort, and one of them winds up being sad about that exchange, and they allow that sadness to turn into anger. Primary emotion, sadness. Secondary emotion, anger. If they express, if they share that they're angry about this exchange, pausing for effect, think about that. You exchange something with somebody and they come back at you with anger. How do you react? How do you perceive the engagement, the situation? Versus if they tell you, they share with you and express sadness. The fact is, they're both sad and angry. But it's in the recognizing of the sadness or identifying the sadness that allows us to address both. If we focus on anger, it's going to be a long, bumpy road because we haven't identified the core that needs to be addressed, which is the sadness. So our language matters. What we tell ourselves and what we tell others when it comes to managing our efficiency and our productivity and everything else in life. Key insight number 2 is the illusion of control. So, as we said, time it's constant. It's unchangeable, right? It's an constant and unchangeable force of nature that we cannot control. And this is a fundamental truth that we need to accept if we want to add a little more ease and progress into our daily experience. By focusing on what we can control, which are the tasks, we can make a more effective use of our time. For those just listening, I'm air quoting, right? Use of our time, which gives us the feeling of more control in our lives. And again, the more we feel in control, the more efficient we can be with everything, but specifically with the time that we have. Okay, are you with me on that? A couple of examples. We all went through, what happened over the last couple of years, right? The global pandemic. No, that wasn't a slip of the tongue. But it showed us that there are external forces that we don't have control over. Okay? Time is one of those. However, we can control our response to it. We saw that drastic differences in how people responded to those external forces. And being able to control that, that's where our power lies. We can't control those outside forces, but we have a lot of power in controlling how we respond to them. Insight 3 really boils down to the specific topic itself, and that's task management, not time management, and defining how task management actually empowers us. What it does for us to identify that it's the tasks that we're managing, not the time. And it really boils down to being about prioritizing and organizing the specific activities or tasks that we need to or want to accomplish. And again, generally we need to or want to accomplish these things within a specific time frame. But it's a proactive approach that empowers us to take control of those activities and to make conscious choices about what we fill our timeline with. And it's the timeline that's unchangeable, not the tasks. Those are what we can work with. The key here is, this is in contrast to the terminology time management, or the perspective of time management, which insinuates that we're moving our time around to adjust for the tasks that we want to accomplish. Completely inaccurate. So why do we insinuate that? Popular, widely accepted, absolutely inaccurate. Think about a day when you had a long to-do list, right? You felt like you had all these things to accomplish, but you didn't feel like you got very much accomplished. Nothing meaningful, okay? This is often, and I would venture to say most often, it's a result of focusing on, and I'm air quoting again here, managing time rather than managing tasks. Okay, if you have what would typically be thought of as a 1-hour task, something that's going to take you 1 hour to accomplish, and it takes you 2 hours to complete it, you don't slow down or stretch time out. You have no choice in that. What you can do is you can speed up the pace, or you can ask for help or designate out tasks, or you adjust the next 1 or 2 or 3 tasks that were on your calendar to compensate. You are managing the tasks, not the time. There's a distinct and important difference. Let's go a step further. Let's consider it as a visual, right? A lot of people are visual learners. Things make sense when they can picture it in their mind. So let's look at it this way. Time management, which insinuates assigning time to an individual task, versus task management, where we're assigning a specific task to a stationary timeline. Okay? Considering it this way, let's picture the timeline as a kitchen cabinet, right? It's stationary. It's either attached to the ceiling and the wall, or the wall itself, or the wall and the floor, but it's stationary. It's immovable, okay? Unchangeable. I mean, not counting tearing out your entire kitchen and changing it, but you get the point. It's a consistent item. It's there. And then the tasks, let's consider the tasks as the plates, the bowls, the cups or glasses, whatever your dinnerware we call it, right? Whatever those items are. You don't change the size and shape of your cabinet to accommodate for the different, pieces of dinnerware that you own. What you do is you adjust the placement, the direction, the quantity of dinnerware that you put within that cabinet so that it fits in the most efficient way. Okay, what doesn't fit doesn't go in that space. You put it somewhere else. You get rid of it, whatever the case is. The cabinet or the timeline always stays the same. What you put in it at any given time changes, and that's your choice. That's under your control. What you're managing is the dinnerware. The cabinet is what the cabinet is. But what if your thought was, well, I've got to fit all these in here, so I'm going to change my cabinet? That just doesn't make any sense. Again, you're remodeling your entire kitchen. I get it. As far as daily activity, you're not changing your cabinet. As far as being efficient, that's not efficient. You're not changing your cabinet. You're adjusting the pieces within it. And those are your tasks. The cabinet is your timeline. It's time. Are you keeping up with me here? Or are you starting to see that this is not just simple semantics? Right? Look up the definition of semantics. Understand. Yes, it's recognizing and grasping all of these different factors. But if you want to call this semantics, it's about as deep into semantics as you can go. This is not just, if you say, well, it's just terminology. I use that phrase a lot. It's the terminology. You're right. But we've already looked at how the words that we use, they change things big time. And if we're using words that lead us subconsciously to believe that we are not in control, we lose efficiency and productivity. And that's supposed to be the whole point of time management. But it's not time management, it's task management. It's prioritization. Now this brings us directly into insight number 4, which is strategies for effective task management, right? The tools and techniques for managing tasks, they're legitimately, or they're literally prioritization and organization. Now, there are many strategies or tools out there that are available to help us manage the organization of these tasks or these activities in an effective manner. That being said, prioritization is the foundation itself for task management. We need to identify our most important tasks, and we say focus on those first. Now, let me be clear. That doesn't always mean that the things that are a priority are always done in order of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then things that are less prioritized get done after that. Okay, this is a misconception sometimes, because there are certain things that take priority within any given time frame, but let's say that it can't be done until the evening. If spending time with your spouse or your significant other is a priority that day, but you're both at work, then it goes on the timeline later in the day, which means it's not going to be step number 1 or step number 2. So don't be confused. Don't allow that to confuse you. What we mean when we say we must identify the priorities or the important things first means that you identify that it's important, you recognize it first, and you say, where does that need to go within my timeline? Again, you're not moving time around. You're not saying, well, I'm going to pull 6 p.m. tonight into position number 1 of my day because spending time with my loved one is the most important thing. That doesn't even make sense. But that's the concept when we say time management. That's kind of what we're telling ourselves. That's not the case. So we're assigning that task, that time, that engagement that we want to a specific time within our timeline. I hope that makes sense. I actually was explained that by a group, someone that brought it up in a group when we were talking about time management versus task management. A lot of what I'm sharing are things that I've picked up from statements that people made. When it clicked for them, they would say, "Oh, I get it. It's like," and that was one of them. I wanted to spend time with it was a gentleman, wanted to spend time with his wife that evening, but he recognized, even though that was the most important thing to him in that day, that it was going to happen towards the end of the day. So he was moving the task to the end of the timeline, and that's what made it click for him. I'm not managing my time. I'm adjusting the tasks within the time frame I have. The prioritization is kind of like the foundation itself. If we're building a home, right? It's the foundation. It's the leveling of the land, the pouring of the concrete. It's all the stuff that happens first. And then the organization is kind of like the home design. It's like, where is each wall going to go so that, it's organized? There's a lot of things like, calendars, to-do lists, project management applications that people can use to help manage the actual organization of things. But if we keep track of our tasks, it ensures that we're making progress towards whatever goals we want. Right? Again, the time's not going to change. It's going to go by hour by hour by hour. It's how we move the tasks around within that time frame that make the difference. There's something else that I get that gets brought up a lot in this conversation. It's called the Pomodoro technique. Sorry that I thought I started to say that wrong. The Pomodoro technique is really it's considered popular time management, quote unquote, air quotes there, method that involves working for 25 minutes and then taking a break for 5 minutes. Now, it's super common that people will adjust those time frames. Like myself, I prefer like a 50-minute, because at 25 minutes, man, I'm right in my flow. But give me 50 minutes or so, and then let me take a 10-minute break. That's a pretty good timeline for me. So it adjusts. But the Pomodoro technique is working for 25 minutes, taking a 5-minute break. And when you understand the concept of this accurately, you recognize that the reason it's effective is because it emphasizes two things. It emphasizes your focus, and it emphasizes the task. And it emphasizes those within a specific time frame. It's not focused on the time. It's focused on, I know people will say it is. No, it's focused on getting a task done when you have the ability to focus on that task. Because we all know, studies have shown this too, that after a certain while you lose efficiency if you continue doing 4 hours worth of nonstop work, right? You want to let your brain take a little bit of a breather in there. But again, its effectiveness is because it focuses on, or it emphasizes a human's ability to focus on a task. So, key insight number 5, which is actually our power of choice. Let me explain. The importance of intentional decision-making, actions, and how our choices shape our lives it's unquestionable. When we make conscious and intentional choices about, and I'll say, how we spend our time, or even more accurately, what tasks we prioritize within a given time frame, it allows us to take control of our lives, of our efficiency, of our accomplishments, and of achieving those goals. Okay? This, it's literally like the ultimate form of empowerment. Again, subconsciously, we understand we don't have control over time. For some of us, consciously. Maybe you're familiar with the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So within that book, he talks about the importance of being proactive in taking responsibility for our choices. And it's truly, as he shares in the book, it is a fundamental aspect, and I'm going to say it this way, of task management. Does he use the term task management? No. But stop and think about it. When we are proactive and we take responsibility for our choices, the things that we put within the cabinet of our timeline, okay, that's fundamental to getting things done. If we don't take responsibility for it, we say, I didn't have the time. That's a lie we're telling ourselves and other people. We had the time. We chose to do something different with that period of time. Maybe you've heard the term time affluence. It's the feeling that we have enough time to do the things that we want to accomplish, that are important to us. It's actually a result of making intentional choices about, and again, I'm going to air quote, how we spend our time. And what that means is the tasks, the actions that we prioritize within our time. Look, the fact is, it really is simple. We have the same amount of time in any given day. We have 24 hours, and I'm using a day to keep it simple. Everybody grasps this concept. Okay? If you put it as opposed to a clock, if you drew a ruler or a timeline on the wall, 12, 1 a.m., 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 12 p.m., noontime, and then on through the afternoon and evening. And you have tasks, and you set the tasks out, but they're not in order. You don't move the time to get in alignment with the tasks. You say, oh, I need to do this, and I want to do it early. So you apply that task up to that timeline on your wall. And then the next task, and then the next task. If you're writing them in a book, a daily log, right? It usually has the time already written down. And you write the task that you want on that timeline. You don't just write the task anywhere you want and then somehow magically move the time to it. We assign tasks to a specific timeline. That is task management. That tasks, the activities, are what we can move around and manage. We're not managing time. We're managing what we fit into a timeline that is outside of our control. Why am I stressing this point so much? Because I'm asking you to identify the fact that you have control over your tasks. I want you to be the one that feels in control. And we all know you don't get to move the clock around, the time around. So when we make a mindset shift from time management to task management, it puts us in control. Okay? Which means by extension, we now control our lives. We're no longer out of control. We're no longer at the mercy of the clock or of whatever's going on around us, of being too busy. When we acknowledge, I feel that way because I'm trying to prioritize too many things, or because I haven't even prioritized. I am using up this timeline that is outside of my control for things that maybe feel urgent, but they're not really that important to me. And we can use everything that that the timeline industry shares with us, but it becomes much more effective when we acknowledge that it's the tasks that we're managing, not the time. Would I love to see the entire industry change the way they speak about it? Change the terminology that's written? Yes, because it puts the power in your hands, because you know that you control the tasks, and you know you have zero control over managing time. And words are important. The way that we speak to ourselves needs to be in alignment with our belief systems, or we have cognitive dissonance. I mentioned that. I think I mentioned that in the last podcast. It puts us in a position of frustration and feeling out of control. And I've heard this in the past by time management trainers. I used to train time management. I'm not, excuse the way I'm saying, but I'm going to be blunt. I'm not making this shit up. This is, people would sit here and tell me in class, in the courses, in the classes, in the training rooms, they would literally say, but I need more time and I have no control over that. And at the time, I didn't get it. I was stuck in that mindset. But over time, I realized it's not the time we're trying to manage, it's the tasks. So why in the world, why in the world do we keep calling it time management when it's task management? That is our goal. Will it ever change? Probably not. Do I still slip up and use the term time management? Sure do. After 40 whatever years, since I started speaking 50 years ago, 50 years of the term time management, it's a little hard to get it out of my out of my internal dictionary here. Look, my goal is to help people have more ease in their life, have more peace, have less stress. And if we're trying to manage time, as the saying goes, we're shit out of luck. We have no hope. When you simply acknowledge the difference, the stark difference, that time is what time is. I can manage the tasks that I apply within it, and then you use the two tools that make the key difference in this. Prioritization, organization. That's when you win. That's when you win this game. That's when you understand it's task management, not time management. You speak it accurately. You perceive it, and everything in your mind works with it accurately. That's when you come out ahead. So, develop your own task management system, one that works for you. Same things you're using in quote-unquote time management, but identify the fact that it's task management. And I promise you, the difference is it's astounding. It literally is astounding. So take action, start small, but start now. Implement the way you look at it. Implement the steps with the understanding that it's task management, and you will see drastic differences just fall into place, literally. So I hope this conversation today made sense. I hope that it inspired something in you. I hope that you have questions and comments and that you share them, that you engage. Again, if this really troubles you or if this really speaks to you, we can have this conversation or one similar. You can share with me, with the audience, how you implemented it, what your perspectives are on it by engaging here and making it clear that you'd like to have a deeper conversation or discuss this further in some way, and you may be asked to be a guest on one of the podcast episodes. So, and no, I haven't shared this yet. You don't have to be physically present. You can be wherever you are. We'll log on to the software that I have, and you can be at home with your laptop or computer, for that matter, your phone, maybe a small earpiece and a simple microphone. Just use the phone if you have to, and we can have that conversation. It's not a big deal. So don't hesitate. If you haven't already done so, again, please subscribe. Please share, this episode, this content with people that would be interested or you think might be engaged with us. Take a listen to our Mental Health Mondays. Those come out on Mondays. Coaching series comes out on Wednesdays. There will be some bonus content that I'll be putting out sometimes on Fridays or various days, and eventually we'll pick up the pace and we'll have 3 to 5 episodes consistently every week. But for now, I hope to hear from you. I hope to see your comments and interact with you there. I hope you have an interest in being a guest on the podcast. That'd be great. Would love that. But go ahead and subscribe, follow us, comment, whatever you can on the platform that you listen on. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, as always, live awesome and enjoy your journey.